What's up, guys? This is my second time recording this video because super bad lag in the first one. But this is going to be a video about Roshambos, and I'm just trying to bring to the table a discussion about Roshambos, and a lot of people have asked me based on the last video. They were like, hey, can you do a video about Roshambos and why you think that they have done some damage to the game? And I'm like, yeah, well, let me go ahead and get into it. Just bringing to the table, my side of Roshambos, and a lot of people do agree with me on this, that Roshambos have done a lot of damage to the game, They work great in Beast Moon, but they just don't work in PvP. They've done a lot of damage to the game ever since they were put into the game. At first, I was like, yeah, well, let's try it out. Let's do some Rochambeau PvP. It sounds cool. You're going to counter 3 of somebody's things for 3 of your own things, And I literally did give it I gave it a fair run, But after playing it, I can say that the game was better when there was no Rochambos in the game. And Rochambos have caused the game to deteriorate skill-wise. So in yesterday's video, I kind of went over this, the Rochambeau stuff. And also, I went over the fact that Wizard101 in 2023 does not have a skill gap anymore. There is barely a skill gap compared to what there used to be before. For one, Roshambos. Roshambos did a lot of damage to the skill gap in this game. But other things did cause a decrease in skill gap, which I went over in yesterday's video. So anybody can be good in this game, honestly, at the moment. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Okay, so Rochambos, you remove 3 of something for 3 of another thing. So Rochambos, let me see. This is my PvP deck, right? Look at how many Rochambos are in this deck. It's an insane amount. You just Rochambeau, 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 Rochambeau. There's not a lot of skill in clicking the same card over and over again that does something to counter your opponent's moves. For example, literally Rochambeau PvP. What PvP is now is whoever has the more Rochambos. It's not good. It's not skill based. It's literally whoever has the more Rochambeau wins. Because say I use this, put on traps, remove blades. So then they use the Rochambeau that removes whatever for this is just an example. I don't know if there is one that puts on blades. Basically, it's just back and forth, So clear, put on something, clear, put on something, and it's a never-ending cycle. For example, this spell, they're kind of making these spells become more Rochambeau-like. And for example, Centaur clears 2 traps for 2 blades, and this spell clears 2 blades for 2 traps. So say I use this spell, I get 2 traps. Then they Centaur me, remove my traps for 2 blades. Then I do this, remove their blades for 2 traps. Then they Centaur me, remove. It just keeps on going. It just keeps on going. It's never ending until somebody doesn't have the card. And so whoever packs more will win. They'll win. It's not skill based. It's just whoever puts more of the single card in their deck wins. PvP used to be more skill based. Now it's not. It's literally whoever has the more of something wins. Another thing that Rochambos did is they really hurt the ability to use your brain and create combos, because you can't do anything more than once. For example, for Ice Blade here, so you can't blade more than once, because if you blade more than once, they'll just Rochambeau you and get great value off of it. But you can blade 1 time and then they'll weakness you. Whoever blades gets weakness, or they get shielded on. And back in the day, before Rochambos, when I say back in the day, I mean before Rochambos. So you could put on, say 3 blades. You could put on 3 blades. You could put on 2 of the same blade and then 1 different blade, so it's stacked. And then you could strike, frostbite, weaver. Which required more skill than Rochambeau PvP does. Let me tell you. So you can do that. They can weakness you. You can take it off. They can weakness you, and you frostbite through, and you're still getting a buffed hit because the weakness negates 1 blade, but you still have a blade that you had stacked on for that frostbite. So then they have to either triage and take an open bladed shadow hit that you have right here with this other blade that you put on, or they can They can weakness your shadow hit and take the full damage of the overtime. That's using your brain. You're thinking ahead. You're putting on more than one spell. You like anybody can blade one time. But it takes more brain power to stack blades. This sounds stupid. It does take more brain power to stack blades, and overtime into a hit than current PvP right now. Because current PvP is literally whoever, like, you see this card and you have weaknesses on, immediately use it. Then they use it back. Then you use it again. They use it back. It's literally brain dead. Like, you don't have to be smart to use these spells. PvP used to be more complex than this. You could do blade things. Obviously blade spamming is stupid, and that's why they put in Roshambos in the first place, is because of blade spammers. But let me remind you guys that the reason why blade spammers became a problem is because people, when I say people, like, it was like a few content creators wanted to blade every single round on their Death Wizards and Shrike and Minotaur into hit. They wanted to do that blade spam strat, and they kept getting enfeebled. And they're like, oh, I got Aftershock. That's so stupid. One card counters my strat. Please ban it. Please ban it. So the devs listened, and they banned the card. And I'm like, dude, just get a better strat. Like, that's not a good strat if you get encountered by one card. But no, they got the devs to nerf it. They got them to ban it. And then they bladed. But then people were like, oh, yeah, let's blade to infinity. Which, I mean, who can blame them? There's nothing stopping you. So this card and Feeble TC and Aftershock treasure cards, the 4-pip Earthquake, they kept blade spamming in check, But then they got banned because people wanted to do, that people that didn't really understand PvP were being listened to, and they got these spells banned, and then that caused an imbalance. So then the devs were like, okay, we need to do stacking counters, like Roshambos, right? So they put them in, but then that causes more damage than they could have anticipated, like I said. And then also another thing, okay, so some people are like, oh, what about trap stack? How are you going to counter that? So something I thought a lot about is, the devs have lowered the damage a lot on cards and stuff. And they also took out enchants and everything, so we do less damage now. But like back in the like good old days, like a few years ago, people's, like, I'm gonna use ice for example. So they're like Climaclism, their Abominable Weaver did like 2.1 with no buffs sometimes, like 1.9 at least, no buffs. So you're doing more damage. But back in the day, heals did ×2, right? Heals like Satyr did 2.4. Like Availing Hands did 2k, So you did more damage, but you countered more damage at the same time. So it kind of balanced out. And that faster damage, that higher damage, made it impossible for somebody to sit there and trap you before they died. You just killed them before they could do that. So for me, I always thought that they should have just kept the pace of the game and just made heals better, so that it could keep up with the damage. Instead, they wanted to make sure that you couldn't die within like 3 shadow hits, which, I mean, I kind of see their point, but at the same time, you do that, you run the risk of having other problems, like the trap stack thing. Or if you wanted to keep the damage how it was and remove Roshambos, like, you could just create an enfeeble like trap card, that removes the traps, and that would stop people from trap spamming. Like Enfeeble used to stop people from blade spamming back in the day. That's just like a quick thought. But the other thing that Roshambos did to really hurt the game is, so healing, right? Healing is just a mess right now, and I don't think that the devs are going to be able to balance healing after putting Roshambos in, because Roshambos really made it hard to balance healing, because for one, you can only use one of something once, or else you'll get Rochambeaued, like I said. So you can infection somebody one time, right? Or if you do 2 infections, like back in the old days, you would, like, for example, on my life versus another life, or balance versus another balance, over the course of the match, I would slowly put on more infections on them, right? So I would have like 3 or 4 on by the time I was ready to go full offensive, like even 2 sometime, right? I would do like 2 minimum, right? So that when I went offensive, they would have to take off the infections with pips, because nobody carried Cleanse Charm for that. Like, I wouldn't carry Cleanse Charm for that. So I would, like, they would take it off with heals, right? So you're outvaluing them with your 0 pip infection. They're taking off with heals, and since you have like 3 on them, you're using that opportunity that they're struggling to get uninfected. You can use that opportunity to infallible, to blade, to shrike, to start hitting them, actually, to hit them, to go offensive while they're struggling to do this so that they can start healing again, but you can't do that anymore. You can only put on one once, or else you'll get Rochambeau'd. Um, so, so, um, so you have to basically so you can infection them once, only once, or else they'll get Rochambeau. So then you have to keep your next infections that you previously, like before Rochambeau, you just put them all on there, and you could have your deck open to cycle, getting ready to get your kill cards, the cards that you want to beat somebody down with while they're trying to get off infections. You have to keep these in hand so that when they remove one with a heal, you can put the other one right back on there. And that causes so much deck space. Like when you have your 7 cards in the middle of the match, you have to keep these in here, which is ridiculous, and you can't afford that when you're trying to kill somebody. You can't just have these clogging your hand. And back in the good old days, you could just put them on, but now you can only do something once, which goes for the blade thing too. You can only do something once, which also deteriorates the skill gap, because anybody can blade once, let's be honest. And if you blade once, you get weakness. You can't blade 3 times anymore, else you'll get Rochambeau'd, and blading 3 times, offered combo potential. And combos is a thing in this game that required brain power, like more brain. Okay, that sounds stupid because it's Wiz, but like it required more brain power than what PvP is now. Like to pull off combos back in the day, that required way more brain power than what PvP is now. Rochambeaus have completely dumbed down the game. They have made the skill gap be way less than it used to be. Like there is like no skill gap in this game anymore. It's whoever packs more Rochambeaus wins. Like honestly, like just whoever runs out of the card first loses, which is not what PvP should be. PvP used to be more complex. You would have to be 3 steps ahead of your opponent. So you could blade. You could infection them. You could have this goes into another thing, is how do you know that you're winning a PvP match now? The only way to tell if you're winning a PvP match in this day and age is to see if you have more health, basically, than the opponent, or if you have like a damage aura, ready to go. But back in the day, before Rochambeaus, you could tell if you were winning because you had several infections on your opponent and they had 0 on you. Like you were winning. Let me tell you, I did a lot of balance v balance matches back in the day. It was so fun. You have 3 on you. You can heal all day because they didn't put any on you. You're winning. But now, just Rochambeau those 3 right off. It's not good. Also, like back in the day, people could set up gaze shields, right? You would put on a set shield because you didn't want to get gazed like later in the game, for example. So you could have different hanging effects. But Rochambeau makes it so that you can't put on hanging effects. You can only put on 1 at a time, or else you get Rochambeau'd. And you better have the counter back, or else you're gonna lose. So that's another thing. It deteriorated the skill gap in this game, is what Rochambeau did. It really hurt the game. So what else was I gonna talk about? I think I might have touched on this. I recorded the video right after I recorded one like it, but this is bad. This spell right here, because you cannot infection and ice at low level, for example, because they'll just do this spell, get it off. This is a Rochambeau centered spell. Like this guy too, Rochambeau centered. It's bad for the game. It's bad for the game's health, because you can't infection and ice because they'll just do this. And if you you also can't infection a normal person and use a weakness either, because if you use an infection and a weakness, that's 2 hanging effects, and they can just Rochambeau it off for great value, which it's just not. It's bad. It's bad for the game. I really do not like it, and it's just not good. It's not healthy for the game, for it to be like that, So those are just a few things about Rochambeau that I'm not a fan of at all, that make me wish that Rochambeau was not in the game. I know that there are a lot of people that agree with this, like the silent minority or majority even, because there's a lot of people in my last video that were like commenting. They're like, oh, thanks for speaking up about this. Like a lot of like YouTubers, big people, like they don't talk about this kind of stuff, and I'm trying to like, I'm trying, when an update comes out, I don't just take it and be like, oh, this is a gift from heaven, this isn't like, oh, the awesomest update ever. You know, there's pros and cons to every update, and you have to evaluate if it's better for the game or worse for the game. And like I said, I played through the Rochambeau with an open mind. I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, we're gonna get rid of 3 blades for traps. You know, and I was like optimistic about it. Some people weren't, and they were right because after playing, you know, for however it took me to determine that Rochambeau is not healthy for the game. It's done more damage than good. Like I've explained, I'm trying to open a discussion here, you know, so that we can talk about the game and like how it can improve and like what should kind of be, you know, reassessed, like looked at again, you know, to help it get better. You know, I would personally love a cube with no Rochambeaus, because I really think these are horrible for the game. I just do. I know that there's people that will have different opinions. You know, you can let me know your opinion in the comments, and that's totally fine. If you don't agree with me, like, just let me know your opinion. If you agree with me, that's swag, and just let me know in the comments. I'm just trying to like open this discussion up and let people know how I'm feeling, how other people are feeling. A lot of people have expressed these same things to me. You know, some of my friends, like the opinions on things. You know, and it doesn't get talked about a lot. You know, because like, I don't know, discussion videos, I guess, are kind of rare, you know. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. Thanks for watching again, guys. I hope that everybody watching has a good rest of your week, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you for watching. Bye.